you for coming. Thank you for watching. I'm Mike the Man. I'm gonna wait for 1 minute and then see what new you guys may have that we can look at together, because I want to focus on your areas of interest as well, because the most important part for me is to ensure that everything I'm pointing out, stating, and bringing to the surface, you guys are able to do something with it. It's very important for me that when you look at something, you start recognizing what is important immediately or almost immediately. So I'm going to wait for just a little bit longer, and then we can go into hopefully discovering a couple of things that we haven't paid attention to before. And again, I'm going to wait to see who's coming, because I want to watch a little bit of the Hunter as true crimes. Hey, fine summer. How are you? I've seen you around for quite some time. I don't know your name, but I've seen you. The Bear Paws. Hi there. Thank you guys for coming. Hey, Sandy. You know, today well, let me say it like this. I don't really have anything new, except that I saw YouTube just suggested to me the video by Hunter, something like that, Hunter True Crime. And it's a new compilation of Daniel Martel statements. And we already had our compilations, right? However, I like to be, I like to go with the time, meaning when somebody compiles a set of statements, usually the order in which the statements are compiled in sort of reflect what the person starts to notice. And from the beginning, I've said to you guys, trust your intuition, take your intuition seriously. So I don't know who Hunter as True Crimes is, but I do believe that when somebody suddenly has the motivation again to compile a bunch of statements, there's a reason for that. Hey, Fern. Yeah, I wasn't going to do one. I really wasn't. And then I saw this, but you know what? Whenever I don't really have a plan and I feel like, no, I'm not gonna, there's no reason to do a live today, and I do one anyways, that's when the good things seem to happen, because that's when I pay actually more attention to you guys and what you bring up. And I realize how much there is to miss. So make sure that you never get ahead of yourself, which is what I've done here and there. Never get ahead of yourself. Never think an analysis is finished. I analyzed it. Done. No. It's only the beginning. The first one, you apply plaids and it leads you in the right direction. It always does. It never, never, never fails. Now, it depends on a statement. It depends on how used you, how much practice you have. It depends on your level of intuition. It depends on what you have been paying attention to. As I've said it before, in the very, very beginning, I gotten things extremely wrong in the case of Sebastian Rogers. extremely wrong, guys, in the very beginning, because I didn't really pay attention to it. So when you pay half attention, that's very dangerous, because then you absorb both the facts and the misinformation, and you don't actively discern. Yeah, some things will stand out to you. You will say, okay, this makes no sense. But then other people on Twitter will tell you, yeah, that does make sense. That's what. Be very careful when you have a large group of people sharing the same opinion, meaning they share thoughts that are not based on anything factual, meaning there is a step required for you to enter the area of faith or belief. Faith and belief are very, very dangerous, guys. Very dangerous, because they can lead you towards a conclusion that is not based on facts. And it's going to be much harder to relearn something later on than learning it the right way in the beginning. And that's why I've said so many times, it is better for us to miss something than pay attention to the wrong thing. So if you get some material and about 80% of it is not correct, or not 100% correct, it's a very dangerous area, because you're going to waste a lot of time and energy to get to the gold. And unfortunately, that's what we see in the media, on YouTube. We see it all over the place, that sometimes the facts are not interesting enough for people. So they will introduce other subjects. They will see what people respond to and are interested in, even if it means they're misleading people or leading people into a direction that is not worth paying attention to. So now we got a lot of accusations towards Justin Smith. I'm not going to get into at this point in time. We saw from the beginning Daniel and Janie getting off on Wong. Yeah, they were correct that there was a criminal situation, right? But that was 5 years ago. Jack and Lilly was 5 months ago. So it's let me see who's here. Oh, okay, your name is Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Oh, it's one of those late nights already for me, huh? Hey, every child matters. See, I feel like I know so many of you, but I don't really know your names. And of course, there's a big difference between my videos that are just straight up about statement analysis and when it comes to Jack and Lilly. So needless to say, I don't keep it statement analysis only when it comes to Jack and Lilly, because there is additional information that we need to pay attention to. And there is a big problem with the case. In my opinion, law enforcement is not doing what they should be doing. That's why I talked about Paul Palango and had him fill in some blanks. So in an ideal world, we analyze, they investigate, they use our analyses to further their investigation. But we don't see that happening. The same with Sebastian Rogers. We don't see that happening at all. And that's the problem, guys. That's a very, very big problem. So the flow is being interrupted.
Investigators were there, or one investigator, and, had a conversation with him. And
can you hear this? I don't know where this. Yeah, Malaya said Daniel stayed up. He said he was. Oh, also Malaya talked about she was cleaning. Right? They were all cleaning or going to clean, which is really a strange excuse to use. But I just talked to a couple of people. I want to highlight again. Let me go back to this because I want to make sure nobody misses this. Two statements. And I've talked about them before, but I'm worried about people missing things. I'm always worried about that. And we miss things when we pay attention to something that's not really significant. As for Belinda's interview, I haven't watched it. The reason I haven't watched it because she doesn't have guilty knowledge. I like to pay attention first to those who I believe I can analyze and get some information out of them that has been previously withheld. So here we go.
Didn't have them in their beds. The worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds.
Did you hear this? What the hell is going on with my system here, man? I don't understand what I'm doing. Jeez. See, that's why I'm... Okay. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. I talked about this before. One of the worst nights? One of the worst nights? You mean the first night that your children are not at home and missing is one of the worst nights? No, that would be the worst night. But she didn't tell us that. She said one of the worst nights. And that's when I concluded 5 or 6 months ago that the night before must have been when it happened.
The worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds.
I didn't have them in their beds. So remember a couple of other references, guys. Malaya said about the morning she heard them laughing, giggling, and talking. And I believe that this came from the experiential memory of what she heard the night before. I didn't have them in their beds. I believe she didn't have them in their... I believe they didn't go to sleep the night before on Thursday. I don't think they made it to sleep. And I believe she heard them giggling, talking, and laughing. And Jack was rustling in the kitchen. And Daniel said no chairs were moved. Well, this leads me to consider the possibility Jack moved the chair and reached something that he wasn't supposed to. It's a possibility that we need to consider, even though there's a standstill right now in terms of information.
I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone,
Nothing happened.
3 days were very stressful. I mean,
the last few days were very stressful. The last few days, yeah, I believe he's had unusually stressful days before the disappearance. And I believe it escalated on Thursday night. On Friday already, there was a lot of tension. They went to Patty's house to do laundry. Dennis stayed in the car for at least some time. I don't know what his relationship was like with Patty, but I think Patty, well, if Malaya left clothes at Patty's house, I don't know. Maybe she already wanted to leave because maybe what we heard about the taxes were not filed, and now financial problems, new problems were going to come. Maybe Malaya already was sick of it. He always blames Cindy, though. So he's trying to tell us that Cindy is the one who influenced Patty. That indicates to me that actually most likely Patty had an issue with him as well. He always uses Cindy. Cindy making up Malaya's mind, Cindy making up Patty's mind. So everybody's cool with him except Cindy. Cindy is the problem. He's not the problem.
Ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone.
Ever since that Friday morning, he doubles down on Friday. When they double down on something, they're trying to convince you. He's trying to convince you that it was Friday. And he said it right after he mentioned stressful days. But all of a sudden, he brings it back to Friday only. He's correcting himself. He realizes there was some leakage. Remember the William Shatner interview after his wife died? Not the 911 call, the interview that came later. He kept himself from leaking more. People catch themselves. Some do, some don't. Depends on your level of intuition. It depends on your level of self-awareness. It depends on a lot of different things. But people tend to catch themselves even when they don't really fully understand the details, the reason. They just know deep inside, okay, I need to stop now. I need to bring it back to the narrative. And that's when there's a good chance they're overdoing it. And they leak their desire to their need to convince. And when he says Friday morning, listen to this one more time.
What happened?
3 days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone.
When we noticed that the kids' children were gone, he went from kids to children. Remember how he refers to Jack and Lilly versus how he refers to his own children? My children. Kids and children, well, it means pretty much the same thing. But what's important here is how you, within your own language pattern, reference people differently. Sure, Jack and Lilly and both of his children are all children. But does he refer to kids in general as kids and his children? You see, the need to correct himself, even though it may not seem like anything, even though it may not make sense to pay too much attention to it, it still is a sensitivity. And this can be explained later on as we move forward. When we realize the children are missing, here he's trying very hard to establish a narrative that they didn't realize before that the children were missing. And Katie Proudfoot did the same thing when she talked about waking up at 6 a.m. At 6:03, she was already on the phone with Chris. She was already finished looking for her son. Alarm goes off at 6. 6:03, she's already on the phone after having searched everywhere, right? Yeah. And then she said 6 a.m. She went into Sebastian's room. She said that's when he wasn't in his bed. That's when. No. No. You don't try so hard to convince somebody when the only thing you're supposed to think about is where the kids are located. We need to recognize it. The moment they try to convince us of anything, that is immediately a sensitivity. You don't have to explain everything right now. You don't have to be able to put it all together, but you can never ignore it. And when you make a pledge list, like I have actually still up there, you can put these all next to each other, guys. And let me show you again what we're talking about here. You can have a list: priorities, leakage, avoidance, intentions, distancing, and sensitivities. And you can write below in your notes something that helps you remember what you paid attention to. Be it a timestamp, or be it a trigger word, or be it a complete sentence. Everybody has a different way of doing this. You know, we can put it all together, people. Nothing will get lost. And nothing can get lost. Priorities. Avoidance. Legal priority. Okay, I mentioned this before. We need to apply it every single time, and it helps. It helps us not lose anything. Later on, we can put it all together.
Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas we need.
Immediately jumped into the vehicle. He doesn't say I jumped. He said jumped. So there isn't a full commitment right here. There isn't the linguistic commitment that I'm looking for to make it 100% reliable.
We dirt roads, we culverts as we could, and we waited for the police to get there.
Nothing happened.
A few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning.
Ever since that Friday morning, the last few days were very stressful. He's thinking about the days before that. And that can also be trying to come up with an excuse for something he may have done. Why is this happening? Well, that's your priority right now, to tell us that you had stressful days. And even though we are not there yet, a lot of the priorities oftentimes include a defense or alibi. I just got home and my girlfriend stabbed herself 20 times, like Sam Goldberg said. Remember that? He tells us the whole story about how he went to the gym before getting to the point that his girlfriend's that his girlfriend is dead. So the priority can be an alibi, trying to establish an alibi, or come up with an excuse. I had a few horrible days. I haven't been myself. I was extremely stressed. So if anything comes out or you hear anything, I already told you. I gave you an excuse. And people feel the need to do that when they have knowledge of something that they want to cover up, when they are worried. Yeah, I believe you. The last few days have been stressful, but why are you telling us that? Why do you feel the need to let us know? I hope I'm going to be positively surprised by this Hunter, what's the name? Hunter S.
Investigators there, or one investigator.
Hunter S.
And,
True Crime.
had a conversation with him, and
Let's see where this is going.
with the bad action. And there's not enough detail because I thought it was an ordinary day.
Okay, wait. Let's go to the beginning.
Investigators there, or one investigator, and had a conversation with him, and he said that Thursday didn't have enough details, and we think you did something to the kids Thursday night.
Thursday didn't have enough details. You didn't give enough details. You see, this is also a way of introducing passive language and putting the responsibility on Thursday, blaming Thursday. Thursday didn't have enough details? You see the avoidance here? What he doesn't want you to know or doesn't want to reveal is the fact that he didn't give us enough details about Thursday, which leads us to question why he didn't do that. Listen again.
Investigators there, or one investigator, and had a conversation with him,
And he looks at her intensely. I believe he wants to know, how am I doing? And people do that when they know the story they are telling, there is a big chance people may not believe it, because he realizes that a reason to believe it, because he himself has knowledge that there is something within his message that is incorrect. He wants to look for acceptance. He's looking at her to see, do I need to adjust my approach? Do I need to stop right now? Do I need to avoid and go into a different topic? Or am I doing so well that I can continue? Because I'm on the right path right now. He said to Sunny, I'm not doing this. I'm not here to do damage control. Why would you say that? Why did Janie said, I'm not here to lie? Because that's exactly, in my opinion, the intention. And he's thinking, what do I have to do to keep people from suspecting me? Just a normal day, that's right. And remember, there's another thing. Even though it may seem like a very, very small thing that people may overlook, you see, the best things often get overlooked, guys. And they talked about his relationship with Malaya. He said the following. All this is redacted, by the way. All of this is covered up. You see that? I want to know what's in there. What did he say about his relationship with Malaya? I'm very curious about that. Her mother called 2 or 3 times every day. Okay. I thought they were estranged. Didn't Logan try to tell us that? How horrible the relationship was between Cindy and Malaya? Well, apparently, at the very least, Malaya was starting to reach out to her mom. So there's a lot missing we don't know, guys. He always takes his phone. By the way, it says Daniel said he always takes him phone. Yeah, there's something wrong with how many mistakes are made. How many spelling errors, grammatical errors there are in this official police document. You know, using Lansdowne Station Road instead of Lansdowne Road when it comes to the blanket. There's so much in there that reveals that, I don't know. It just gives me a certain sense of indifference. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. It indicates a certain approach to this case that lacks accuracy or a need for accuracy. It's a sensitive case that, you know, Paul Palango said they're kind of wishing things to go away. That's what this all indicates to me. That's a strong possibility that they don't really want to know the truth too much, because what will come out as, yeah, CPS failed. They didn't do their job. And they hate cases like that. Malaya's mother showed up extremely quick. Yeah, now we already know why. 8:28, she called her. See, he always has his phone on him, right? That's what it said. Except all the times that he was searching, that he was at the pipeline, this and that, all of a sudden, he doesn't take his phone with him. Same with Janie, who felt the need to tell us. She didn't have her phone with her when she was searching on Friday morning. Why is it so important to them? Because I believe they may have gone somewhere that they didn't want people to know where they were going, what they were doing. You see, this is already breaking the pattern when he says he always takes his phone with him when he leaves the house, always, except those times that he pointed out he didn't have his phone with him. So whenever they always do something, or they have a certain pattern, and all of a sudden the pattern gets broken, that is immediately a sensitivity. When something happens that's out of the norm, pay attention to what else is out of the norm. The children go missing. Janie suddenly doesn't do what she always does on Fridays, going downtown or going into the city with her brother. Suddenly they don't take their phones with them. There's a reason for that. We are habitual beings. And when this takes place, we need to ask ourselves why. Why all of a sudden you don't do what you usually do? It's an immediate sensitivity, guys. You can't ignore it. It doesn't all need to make sense to you immediately, but you gotta keep it on the forefront of your mind and not lose it. Because then the circle, it can come together later on, full circle. And then the pieces will fit. So make sure that the missing pieces, or the pieces that are not yet fitting, that you put them somewhere in a location where you keep them in your sight And it's so similar to when you do one of these huge puzzles where you don't know where to begin. But you realize, okay, this kind of fits here, this kind of has a color there, this shape, this size, okay, this, and all of a sudden, at the end, it all comes together, guys. And that's exactly how plaids works. So this is a significant piece that we need to keep put aside to look at later on when the other parts reveal themselves. Yep. Well, now we know 8:28. There was a call. He didn't say that, but Daniel is a hinter. He loves to hint and point fingers. Daniel said his Google Maps would have this location, and he always kept his location on for Malaya, so she knew where he was, and she did the same for him. Yeah, he wanted to know where Malaya was at all times. So sure, he said, okay, I do the same. We both do it. We both have to do it. It's not that I'm trying to control you, because you can control me too. There's also a need to let us know that he did this for her. It's unnecessary information, but I think he knows how it may come off, and it may reveal a part of their relationship that he doesn't want the public to know at the time he makes a statement. He said on the second day he had cell phone service when he was searching, and his Google would show his location. He said he used Google Maps to get out of the woods one time, and he sent Malaya a picture of it. I don't know. Google Maps is, I thought you grew up there and know these woods inside and out. Daniel talked about the areas he searched on the first and second day. He said he went into town and got his friends Adam and Chance. That would be Westville. And they helped him search on the second day. Daniel said he thought Lilly and Jack would only come to him because they were attached to him. Daniel said they never listened to Malaya, only him. Oh my God, dude. Oh my gosh. Look at the discrepancy. When he said, they go with anybody. All of a sudden, he feels the need to make himself appear like a good parent and Malaya like a bad parent. That indicates that at least one point, a very significant point, he was anything but a good parent to them. At least one. This is just generally examining. If we didn't know what happened, if we knew nothing about this case, this would already strike us. He needs to portray himself as a good parent. That leads us to conclude he wasn't, at least at one significant point. Of course, now we can conclude many times, but if we didn't know, we would know at least once. Something happened that gets him, that gives him the need to convince us he is the better parent than Malaya. And the reason can be he wants to blame Malaya for something that he may have done. Parenting, so-called parenting. He had to take over Malaya's role and didn't do it well. And it's her fault, at least partially. Did you have anything to do with the DX's disappearance? I 100% did not, he said. Percentage comes to mind. He didn't give us the reliable denial, but he wanted to convince us or let us know that in his opinion, and I do believe that's his opinion, Malaya has responsibility in this. At least that's how he is justifying, in my opinion, certain things, certain actions. Not only about Thursday night, but before, where he snapped. Remember, Malaya said he picks on Jack. What does that mean? What does it mean when a grown-up picks on a 4-year-old? This has been ongoing. I have to do what I have to do because Malaya fails. I do believe that Janie got into that business all the time. That's why she feels the need to say, I mind my own business. Yeah, except every detail of everything that's going on the property, how heavy the trash is and this and that. I think she's just this nosy neighbor, except there's only one set of neighbors, and that's Daniel and Malaya. And Malaya just ignored her. Malaya felt the energy, and she had enough to deal with. She just tuned Janie out. So Janie said, I don't want to tell you what I think about well, you can think about Malaya what you want, but you see, this is not why we're here. We are not here to judge and say this is a good person and that's a bad person. No. We don't do this. We look at the specific instances that we want to learn more about and the very specific statements. And yes, thank you to those in public who in public have stated that Mike is unbiased, because I am. I am 100% unbiased in my approach, but then I allow their language to guide me in a certain direction. Sometimes I have to clear my mind. Before Logan's interview, the first one, because maybe her tone of voice or something else, we can like it or not like it, can irritate us. No, this has to be completely pushed out of our minds, how we feel. But then the people who we assume are going to tell us the truth often talk us out of it. And that's what Daniel has been doing. It has nothing to do with bias, guys. Because your thoughts are based on something you have picked up on that most people miss. So congratulate yourself when you're applying PLEDs successfully, because you're already on the right track. Most people are on no track. They read an article from CBC and they say, okay, I guess the neighbors were just making it up with the car, right? This is how most people are. So good luck, teaching your friends and neighbors. Some will get it, but most may not. Daniel said he is trying to be completely truthful. No, never, people, never. You can say, I'm trying to remember everything that happened. That's something you can say. But trying to be completely truthful, it tells me two things. He is partially truthful and partially not. Completely stands out. He's not straight up lying about everything, but there are significant areas where he is not being truthful. And he can't be. He would like to be, but he's not able to, because then something will be revealed that's not going to be good for him. And of course, then he feels the need to say he's having a hard time because his whole family is gone. Yeah, he's trying to play a card, in my opinion. Hey, I'm a victim too. Be easy on me. Two children are still missing. Well, this is one of Joseph. Okay, this is not important right now. I think that I will now go to this video because I like compilations. I like when other people put something together and I'm able to continue the flow and go into the detail that a lot of people are missing because they say so much more. So much more. The first analysis is the Platt's approach to lead us in the right direction. The second one is usually my favorite, the second analysis. And then you can start picking out certain sentences like I just did now, trying to be completely truthful and tear it apart. And with that, we will realize that some of what Daniel is telling us is true and other parts are not.
Ed, he said that
I love doing this.
Thursday didn't have enough details, and we think you did something to the kids Thursday night.
Thursday didn't have enough details. Don't blame Thursday, dude. Blame yourself. You didn't give us enough details about Thursday. You see, Thursday didn't have enough details. What the hell, man? Don't do Thursday shaming. He's a character, man. He really is. And I don't know how he feels about hearing analyses of himself, but he mentioned it before an interview. Everything I'm saying is being analyzed. Yeah, bro, that's what I do. That's what I do, man. You want me just to skip it and say, maybe he meant something else. Never interpret or say something for them unless they say it themselves. That's why analysis is so powerful. Because we don't miss anything. Of course we miss things here and there. I do too. Especially when I'm doing this live and suddenly I see a comment and I'm thinking, why didn't I? Well, of course I have to run through this. I'm not sitting down with the pen or paper in front of a transcript, which, Peter Hyalo suggested. You first have to only have the transcript. And later you can listen to the interview, but I like to do both at the same time while tuning out everything except pauses, change in language patterns, tone of voice. Anytime I see changes, it helps me. It helps me detect the patterns and the parts where they speak out of pattern. And then I look deeper into sentences that were uttered at the same time. In transcript, sure, you see the well, yeah, you see that also. You see the pauses, you see the hesitation, you recognize avoidances there. But when listening, and I'm not patient enough, I like to go straight to it, but I have the caption on for a reason. I have it always on when I listen to something by myself. And many times I actually miss what they're saying until something stands out. Where the speed of speech suddenly changes or the flow gets interrupted. Then I'm like, wait a minute. But I've gotten into the habit where I'm zooming in on the statements alone. And we have to be able to do that. So everybody has a different style. If you think you want to look at YouTube transcripts, well, the problem is that sometimes you don't know if it is said by a reporter or by the subject, if you only look at the transcripts without sound. But I suggest to you guys, if you can pick any case right now that you may be interested in. What's the name of this 9-year-old that's missing? Melody? Or any of these cases. By the way, in case I miss it in live chat, feel free to mention in the comment section some of the cases that you are paying attention to other than this one. And also tell me if there is a specific statement that you can think of, whom it's by. Give me information on how to find it very quickly and easily. Now I'm looking at your comments again. Give me a second. I want to see if, because I will look into other cases, especially. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. It is absolutely fascinating. And you know what? It becomes even more fascinating the moment that you think you're done. When you think you're done, read it again. Watch it again. Listen again. You will pick out new things until you know deep inside, okay, now my job is done, until new information comes and you may remember, let me look again at what he said before. And then it's like, holy crap. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I missed it the first time. Allow yourself to be human. Make mistakes and miss things, but always be ready to correct and stay away from people who are stuck on theories. It's okay for you to think outside of the box and look at the possibilities. But feel free to abandon them immediately and say, "Ooh, I goofed here." Because you know what? There is so little that we have to go by when it comes to analyzing compared to all of the other sciences that have been around for ages. Sometimes you just need to go with your gut and say, I'm going to focus on this sentence right now because it strikes me as strange. And I don't care what anybody else is saying. I don't care if, look, Peter Hyatt even, he said, he quoted somebody else saying, pay attention, that body language is not reliable. He changed his mind later on also. And by the way, whenever somebody states something and feels the need to quote somebody, that's a red flag to me immediately. That leads me to believe this person may not actually believe in what he's saying right now, but he has learned to instruct his students to not pay attention to body language, which I believe is a mistake. And later on Facebook, Peter Hyatt talked about it several times. Pay attention to both, but zoom in on statement analysis. Thursday didn't have enough details. Don't blame Thursday. What did Thursday do to you? I want to know what you did on Thursday. What details did you leave out? He is telling us he left out significant details, and we think you did something to the kids Thursday. Yeah. The endlessness of what most people miss. It's funny, I started searching pink blanket and pink blanket and pink clothing, and when purple fabric, you know what? I had a dream about this case the other day, man. No, it wasn't a dream where I saw what happened, but it's too stupid. I'm not even going to say it. But this case, I mean, these things are, you know, we are all human. We all feel connected. Even though I haven't met these people in person. I mean, some of them, yes, over the phone, over messages and so on. Sure. Some of you. You know, I've never been in the area, never been to Canada, but I'm telling you, this is a very, I get to know these people. And you know what? Through analysis, you will get to know people more than their friends know them. You get to know somebody really well. To where now, anything that Daniel is saying, I pick up on things immediately. I don't need to think. I don't need to look at plans to remind myself. It just strikes me immediately. Which must feel very strange to him. It would to me. We did something Thursday night. Now he's saying Thursday night. Yeah. Thursday night. Look, I was the only one in the beginning who said it happened Thursday. Then little by little people came on board. But I knew it immediately because of the statements, the two that I mentioned in the beginning of this video. And there was no doubt. No doubt.
And asked them, like, what are you talking about? Like, I just ran through whole Thursday and Wednesday with you.
What are you talking about? Like, I just ran through whole Thursday and Wednesday. Okay. Wednesday, by the way, I think was already a pressure point. And the stress he was referring to, and by the way, who cares about your... was my dream Freudian? Not really. It had to do with, oh God, no, it's gonna sound too, I will get to it later. Let me practice some avoidance right now. Let's say in my dream, sometimes in my dreams, ever since I was a kid, I started to see people for who they really are. And I see them in a different light. And I believe my dreams actually help me at times to see people for, not for who they became, but who they are deep inside. Not judging in terms of saying, this is a good guy, this is not I don't do that, right? Like my real life friends, meaning offline friends, it's important, how are you to me? You may not be liked by others because you may not act good with others, or you may have a dislike towards certain types of people. It's an energy thing. We don't want to judge or label people and say, this is a good guy, this is a bad guy. Well, we need to accept that there is so much to human nature that we may not see. We don't see how people are with others. They may be great with us. You are my friends, Red Vibes. Offline friends. People that I am around who, well, unfortunately, I connect more with you guys these days because we share very similar passions and interests. Because there are many times I want to talk about what's interesting to me, and you know, I realize that others are like, you know, you should never fake interest in anything. And thankfully, the people that I'm around, they don't do that. But you see, there's something very powerful when it comes to connecting based on your own interests, and you realize I'm not the only one that is thinking about things. Just it had something to do with Daniel. You say, I see leader says, I hate to say, but after what Taylor put out, wonder how violent DM was with Malaya Brooks Murray, possibly even SA. I don't know what Taylor said. I don't even know. You mean see Taylor in this chat? What did I miss? Oh, girlfriend Taylor. What does mean? I didn't pay attention to that. I don't watch Drunk Turkey Show. I don't pay attention to every rumor and every gossip. Yeah, thank you. No, I did see, okay. See, Taylor says, no, not me. Okay, it's not you. Yes, Charles, I believe it gave me much better insight, much better. It doesn't take away from actions, but sometimes it allows us to feel in part what they were feeling. And when he talks about stress all the time, I believe that Daniel felt an enormous amount of pressure, which I blame him for, but I also blame his mother for. But as I said before, I believe that whoever, I don't believe in excuses, but explanations. So the physical action of doing something, that is something that I zoom in on. And I want to know why. How did it get there? When you look at murders within a relationship, for example, my interest is always, okay, they've been fighting for months, arguing for months. But what happened that caused it or led towards it escalating to this point? What could have been avoided? What contributes? So you allow yourself to see people more the way that they see themselves. And you see, oftentimes when I talk about certain topics like this, I get accused of making excuses for people. So I stay away from doing that. But I want to understand them. I want to know when it comes to motives, what a motive is to you, not what a motive would be to me. And I believe that's the big mistake people make in general, that they think about what they consider possible within their own actions, from their own standpoint. So sometimes you got to put yourself into their shoes of somebody who feels pressured. Why you think I am so focused on Janie McKenzie? I believed she did not act. I don't believe it was her, hurting the children physically on Thursday. But There is a reason at one point she breaks down and talks about her, what did she say? She didn't say she's blaming herself. Yeah, a little bit, right? But she masked it. She tried to make it sound as if it was about her not waking up, going outside and seeing the kids on Friday to make sure they're okay. No, there was something else where she knows she has failed. So I believe there's a huge possibility that on Thursday she said things. She complained. She had a problem with possibly Lilly waking up Tucker or Fluffy. And that from there, it took place. And she feels she could have avoided what happened. And she is not sad for Jack and Lily, but she's sad for her own situation, not seeing her grandchildren and bearing the consequences. So at times when Janie breaks down, I believe it's real. There are times she's pretending to have certain feelings. There are other times the feelings are real, but the way that she masks it is false. You read that Earl was abusive with Janie, huh? They didn't, yeah. There's a big, for Fluffy, yeah. She is blaming herself for something and she feels responsible for certain things. She could have made peace. She added to the stress. And she knows it. She's well aware of it. Yeah. And Wednesday, again, he's telling us Wednesday also was a very sensitive day, people. I do believe it's very possible that Malaya was getting ready to leave him, adding to the stress. I believe, as an article by Lindsay Jones said, right, Chelsea, that they were headed for even worse financial issues. And whatever Malaya had a problem with Daniel, became more of a problem. And I believe Patty, having found out about it, said, you got to leave. This is getting worse. No matter how much I help you guys. There is no result. There's no positive outcome here. Everything I've done for you guys, everything I'm doing for you guys on a daily basis is getting worse. I want to help you, but nothing I do really helps. It only enables a certain lifestyle. And I enable him to keep you there and keep on suffering. Patty was very lenient and forgiving. I mean, come on, man. If somebody gets, if suddenly your credit card bills, imagine you go to a store, you go shopping, all of a sudden your card gets declined. And you say, what? I had an $8,000 limit. What happened? And you see, Janie talked about Wednesday. They came back at 10:30. And Daniel said, I would have come home a lot sooner. What does that mean? Why did Malaya want to stay there? She felt comfortable being in Patty's house because she felt safe. When Logan said that Malaya stated supposedly she felt the safest with Daniel and in this shithole of a trailer, no, there was a sense, the opposite. There was the opposite. I believe that when she was in Patty's house, she felt safe. He wanted the money. Yes. Absolutely, man. And Malaya too. But money wasn't really the answer, right? If it only contributes to the problems and nothing gets solved. I think Earl got it right. Earl is like, I ain't giving my boy no cash, but I'm going to bring food because I know that he may not be buying food with whatever money he gets. So I got to make sure that the kids are fed. He got it right. He knows his son. Patty may be kind of naive, but she may have started to wake up. And I also believe Patty, that Malaya felt very safe being in Patty's house, and she had a need to feel safe. Nobody would hold her down. Everything was okay there. So maybe she gotten to the point where she said, I'm not leaving yet. I'm comfortable here. You go. If you want to go, you go. I stay here with the kids. It's just a possibility, guys. He had to try harder. Because now, with new financial issues, oh my God, I mean, that was already a pressure cooker. But it was getting worse, people. The breaking point, I believe it was reached on Thursday evening. But it had been leading up to it. I don't think Earl has ever shown up in chat. I can see his Facebook right now if there's something new. Hey, Dolores. I love to see Earl's statements, by the way, because they are so good for analysis. And even if we can't really get all of the results that we want, it's a wonderful training tool. Let's see what Earl, nope. He shared something, but it says content isn't available right now. I don't know. Can you see his last Facebook post, guys? Maybe you can see the content from your end. I can't. Let me listen to a voicemail. All right.
Like, we just spent the last 20 minutes talking. And there's not enough detail because I thought it was an ordinary day.
I thought it was an ordinary day. Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's comedic, man. The early statements are somewhat comedic, actually. Let's see.
Thursday and Wednesday with you. Like, we just spent the last 20 minutes talking.
We just spent the last 20 minutes talking. We were talking, not I was giving you the information. And
there's not enough detail because I thought
there is not enough detail. Yes, I agree. Because, you need to explain to us why. And look how animated he gets, man. You see, when he knows he linguistically is no longer able to convince, he's trying to speak with his hands. He's trying to put on an act where I believe he is really, really, really trying to make up for the lack of credible facts. Not enough detail because
it was an ordinary day.
I thought it was an ordinary day. One moment, guys. I'll be right back. It was anything but an ordinary day, guys. So, Malaya said Daniel stayed up. Malaya said Daniel stayed up. He said he was going to clean the house for her, sure. But it wasn't clean when she got up, so she doesn't know what he did. She also said in a statement that she was going to clean up. They were always going to. Normally he did little projects around the house at night and fixed things. Yeah, I knew some people who were up all night fixing things, working on bikes, working on everything after they indulged in the usage of a certain substance. Yeah, I had a neighbor like that once, up in the garage all freaking night. Yep. Yep. So, anywho. Malaya said she was not woken up throughout the night and does not know when Daniel came to bed. Because he didn't. I don't believe he slept that night. Does not know. Avoidance, people. You see, Daniel doesn't mind making stuff up, or Janie to an extent. But Malaya, her way of avoiding is just saying, I don't know. That's it. That's it. Oh, thank you, C Legal. I will check it in a minute. Wait, let me check it right now. I really liked Charmaine's last live, by the way. Really dug it. She played one of my videos too and commented in a manner that I really appreciated, because it's very important to keep the flow going, and sometimes also point things out that we, again, ourselves may miss. And I always appreciate when people are using their mind to focus on what's important. And don't jump on every single rumor. Again, I didn't even think about Taylor, the girlfriend of Daniels. I find her useful when she shares a message from Daniel. Very useful. Where he talked about he had a bad day because his children stated that he abused Jack and Lilly. You know, whatever their definition of abuse may be. That I appreciate. Other than that, no, it's kind of cute with the, yeah, okay. I kind of like this, what Earl, I guess, shared. Okay, let me put it up on the screen. Just because I brought it up, you know what I mean? Wait. Okay, nothing significant. This is what Earl shared. Time decides who you meet in life. Your heart decides who you want in your life. And your behavior decides who stays in your life. Life has a way of keeping the right ones close. That was Earl's latest statement, and I didn't, yeah. Nothing major. Miss V said, he will delete it like a drunk college girl. Yeah. It's true, right? Like waking up hungover and, oh my God, what did I post last night? Let me delete this right now. Charmaine is to the point. I agree with you. She's to the point. And her mind is pretty clear, right? A lot of people simply don't have clear minds. They have all sorts of opinions, their own, other people's. They pay attention to the wrong shit. And that reflects in their presentations of a case, where you sort of get, what's her channel? It's called, what's it called? I will post it later. It'll come to me. I will look up something. Okay, something with I don't remember. One of you may. So Malaya said she was not woken up right. Because maybe she didn't sleep at all that night, before a little bit, but they keep talking about Jack and Lilly waking Maddow up. How do you think that went? How do you think that went? When there was already a pressure cooker going, Malaya went to bed with Maddow. Maddow was sleeping. Malaya also told us they need to be separated at night. And leakage. They were talking, laughing, and giggling. Of course, she tried to talk about Friday morning, but no, I believe that was actually leakage from what happened the night before. They wouldn't go to sleep. She told us she felt the need to let us know that. And then Matter woke up. How you think that went down? How you think Daniel reacted to this? How do you think he viewed the situation? From his standpoint, yes, it's his fault with the taxes, but suddenly he had to face some consequences. Daniel said he thought he went to bed fairly early that night. What the hell? Really? Why did he say that? And later stated after midnight. Why did he feel the need to tell them that he went to bed fairly early? Because he didn't want to be responsible for something that happened. And he was more comfortable pretending he had been asleep at the time when it all took place. There's serious avoidance when it comes to time here, people. When Malaya talks about the kids went to bed at, what did she say? No, he said the kids went to bed at 8. I believe something happened afterwards that he did not want to get into. So sleep is like an alibi. I was asleep, the kids were asleep, everybody was asleep. But Malaya said 10 p.m. So what happened between 8 and 10? And what happened midnight when you were in the room or you looked into the room? You turned the light on. Why? Because you had to get the backpacks? Is that why you turned the light on? Should I repeat this? Why did you turn the light on after midnight? Because you had to see something. You had to look for something. Janie didn't hear the kids, but she heard Daniel. Yeah, why would Daniel go into the room at midnight? And why did he feel the need to tell us that the light switch was right there at the door? He went in there. That's why. And he had no business going in there. If the children were sound asleep, he would have had no business. But he's telling us he was in the room and the lights were on. I believe he was looking for something to get rid of. Possibly the backpacks.
I went to bed actually a lot later than Malaya did, I think.
I went to bed actually a lot later than Malaya did, I think. Like.
Malaya was already asleep when I came into bed.
Yeah, right. Yep, inconsistency to say the very, very least, people.
Remember flicking on the light for the kids at 12 at night, or a little bit after 12, so a little bit after midnight, and both of the kids were fast asleep under the cover.
Under the cover. Two of Martel's neighbors reported hearing a vehicle coming and going. Okay.
He said your Thursday and all the way leading
He said your Thursday and all the way leading.
into Friday morning. There's not enough detail.
Yeah. Thursday leading into Friday morning, there's not enough detail, to say the least. You feel the need to address it now. Because you realize this is something I've been saying from the very beginning. And eventually, people are paying attention to it. They're saying, yeah, what about Thursday? What about the last time that you saw them? That you saw Jack? What interaction was there? What was he wearing? He's acknowledging it because he has no choice, people. He realizes, okay, a lot of time has passed. Thursday avoidance, Thursday shame. Yep. A lot of time has passed. I gotta say something, but I'm not going to say anything about Thursday. Nothing additional, at least not too much. But at least I'm going to acknowledge it. And then let's see what he says.
And I said to him that Thursday was just an ordinary day.
Thursday was just an ordinary day. Right. Right. And look how hard he's trying, how zoomed in on her he is. Trying to convince her. Looking for approval.
Until I woke up on Friday morning.
Until I woke up on Friday morning, it was an ordinary day. What do you think? What do you notice, guys? He's trying really hard, people. Really hard. He's trying so hard to establish Friday as ground zero, timestamp zero of the event. He's moving the timestamp. I don't talk about Thursday because nothing happened on Thursday, except you told us about Wednesday. You told us about Thursday until it was time to come home from the mall. And then it stopped. Remember the beginning, guys. He started talking a little bit about Thursday to Kent at one point. Kent was like the first one that he answered. He answered some questions there about Thursday. A few months ago. Oh my God, I'm tired. Yeah. But before, no. He said nothing about Thursday for a very long time. So anything between the time they went home on Thursday from the mall until the morning hours is very important. Because the time frame he uses for the ordinary day was Thursday when they returned home until Friday morning. That's major avoidance. He doesn't want to speak about this timeline. He doesn't want you to think about it. He wants to dismiss it. And he's trying to tell us what to pay attention to and what not to pay attention to. And whatever he doesn't want us to pay attention to is the sensitive area that we need to pay more attention to, guys. That is when we need to zoom in and say, why don't we know? Because it's an ordinary day. Well, tell me about it. What did you do? Tell me about the fence. Give me some details. Don't say you went to sleep very early and then later you say after midnight. It doesn't add up. How can you be so wrong? How can you get that flustered? And by the way, I think that the RCMP made a mistake there, screwing up, mistaking Wednesday for Thursday or Thursday for Wednesday. About Patty's house and coming back at 10:30. I don't think, I think they came home after the mall, right? I don't think they went to Patty's on Thursday. But again, the document is full of misspellings. It's full of, the police document. Oh my God. And honestly, the only time I've seen something that horrible was when I saw a police document that was published in English from a non-English speaking country where mistakes were made. But even there was more consistency, and they made sure the roads were spelled properly or the right roads were mentioned. And I have not seen something like that from an English-speaking country. I mean, didn't they say something? Oh, English isn't the first language of the person who did that. French was, but why wouldn't you pick somebody whose first language is English for that? There are enough people in Canada who, hey, Suncycle, who, most people have English as their first language in Canada. Why would you pick somebody whose first language it wasn't? What the hell, man? How important is the case to you? Or how unimportant?
And that's when...
Okay, woke up from Friday morning. He says again, that's when. No. That's when nothing. Trying to convince us, that's when. No. Again, Katie Proudfoot did the same thing. That indicates it wasn't Friday morning what he is about to say.
Like life changed.
No. Like life changed? Okay. I believe life changed Thursday. Sure, on Friday, you had to face the public. You had to face the police. Suddenly, you went from not being known to being known. Suddenly, you were being watched. Suddenly, you were being paid attention to all of a sudden. You didn't expect for that to happen. I understand that. And that's a significant moment as well. But that's not when it changed.
Nothing like changing on Thursday.
There was nothing like, oh, Daniel. Hear that? Trying hard to get us to ignore Thursday. Trying too hard. Listen to this.
Like life changed. There was nothing like life changing on Thursday.
There was nothing life-changing like life-changing on Thursday. Then tell us about it, dude. Tell us about your boring night in detail. Let us know. Nothing like, exactly. Nothing like. Like this filler word, this qualifier, like basically, kinda, Note these things. Pay attention to that. Let me run this through, and then I'm going to be right back also. I need some coffee, man. This takes longer than I thought. I like it though. When I have nothing and all of a sudden I realize what I've been missing, what we've been missing. This is my favorite part. When I approach statements, I feel like, oh, okay, I got to get through everything right now. But when I feel I'm already done, that's when I recognize the most important parts, people. Give me a second.
It was a normal day. So, therefore, there was nothing detailed that needed to be remembered that day until Friday morning.
You know what? This is too important to miss. Too important to miss. Give me a second. Let me go back here. This is very important, guys. I'm going to take a quick break, 5 minutes. And I don't understand, and I don't know, I mean, if he understands that his very avoidance of Thursday is exactly what's telling us how important Thursday actually is. He told us about so many other times what happened. He told us he was talking to a co-worker in the parking lot. Why is that important? But then the flow of information was interrupted. At the time when they returned home. Life-changing, okay. So
Therefore, there was nothing detailed that needed to be remembered that day.
there was nothing detailed that needed to be remembered that day. You didn't give us detail. Not only didn't you give us detail, you avoided. You even shortened the timeline of interest by saying you went to bed early and that Jack and Lily were already asleep at 8. Your effort to keep us from looking at what happened after 8 p.m. on Thursday is the reason I'm focused on this, Daniel. That is the reason. And I know it's sinking in now. I know you're starting to understand that you're the one who's guiding me there. Even though you may be wondering, how do people know? Well, because of you. You're the one. Logan, same way. How does Mike know? How does he think he knows? Because you told me. Because your statements let me know how problematic their life was. The relationship. Logan, you told me. Don't blame me for what you said. I have a right to analyze what you stated. And if you're being deceptive, it's my job to point it out and not let it stand there. Nothing detailed. Okay. Yep. Forget about it. That's his message. Then tell me what doesn't need to be remembered. Tell me everything. I can make up my own mind if it needs to be remembered. This interpretation is a huge red flag, people. Telling other people what to remember. No. When you want to conclude for us, that's not how it works, my brother. That's not how it works, homeboy. You see, everything that you're trying to do right now. And look how he stands. He's folding his arms and sort of like comforting himself. You know, because he feels like, he feels all alone now in his battle. I understand that. You know, he would love Malaya by his side and her giving interviews with him and sort of being able to hide behind her sometimes. And I understand that. You see? That's why Chris and Katie Proudfoot have been forgotten. Because they were a team. They were a unity. There was unity. So he's angry. Look at his point of view. He told us sadness turned to anger. How dare she leave me now that I need her? Now that I need her, she's leaving me. Look at it from his point of view, guys. Don't accept it as, accept it as his reality. Doesn't matter how wrong he may be. But this is his reality. By the way, is this a pipeline area? No, I don't think so, right? It would have... No, probably not.
Until Friday morning.
Until Friday morning. Nothing needed to be remembered until Friday morning. Ain't that something, dude? Ain't that something? You see, he's very direct now in his avoidance. Very direct. It's very blatant. Avoid everything until Friday. Don't think about it because I say so. Wow, man. One neighbor reported hearing a vehicle around the railroad tracks at Gaddock and Lansdowne Station Road at around 1:30 a.m. The vehicle stopped and then drove towards Lerk Road. Again, it doesn't say that the car turned on Lerk, but towards Lerk, which may be a reference point for Justin Smith because he has a property up there on Lerk. But he also said it's in the, well, let's get to this later. The article said it was into the same direction like Jack and Lily's house, so he must have been south of there, but it hadn't been clarified. So, in Gaylock, railroad tracks, blanket location. Well, did it turn? Did it go towards the blanket location or not? This is, you see, we are missing this piece of information from the police report. And also we are missing it from the newspaper article. Cabins, did he turn here? Or did he disappear into this distance, according to Wong, and turn here? We don't know. Why don't we know? I'm not going to fill in those blanks, people, and make up my mind, even though I have my own thoughts. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of information missing based on which a lot of people are speculating, and we cannot do it. And Lerk is up there. Justin has property there. Doesn't mean he's located there. It went towards Lerk, the same direction where Jack and Lily lived. If it is in the same direction, then Justin, where were you? You must have been somewhere down here. Like Wong. It's too much speculating, guys. If you were at the trailer park, this wouldn't be the same direction like this. Pay attention to details, guys. Even though they're not giving us the right details. It's very important because that way, later on, we don't have to correct ourselves and rethink and revisit and fix. It's better to say, I don't know, than to assume. When you assume, not a good idea, people. Not a good idea. That's why so many people are going back and forth, and they express complete conviction into one direction, and then they change it completely the next day. And then they claim, that, no, people, we don't do that. We rather say, I don't know, but I can tell you what I know. And then I will continue by saying what I really want to know. So while everybody talks about something unimportant, my mind is still on what I don't know. So sometimes I don't feel the need to move on. So when Drunk Turkey has a psychologist on and the ex-girlfriend and this and that, well, if it's important, it'll come to me. But I'm not going to spend 4 hours watching something that takes me away from figuring out what I don't know yet, because otherwise I will never know. I will only be a slave to other people's guesses. I'm not interested in this ex-girlfriend. I really am not, unless she leaks some real information. I'm not interested in her. I'm not interested in it, dudes. Seriously, there's only so many hours in a day. I rather go on here without a plan Because guess what? This is a chat where you guys push me in the right direction when I lose direction, when I have taken a day off. And I can come here and say, you know, what's new? And sure enough, so I get a lot more information here than anywhere else. And of course, in private from some of you guys. Shalom, Yadea. So don't worry about it. Don't let the wrong people teach you anything. Follow your gut. Okay,
that's when I asked him, do you know anything on the case? And he said, not really. I've seen you on the...
That's when I asked him, do you know anything on the case? And he said, not really. Who's he talking about? I've seen you on.
Once. And that kind of alarmed me, or, you know, shocking, because you're having somebody that's trying to get you to admit to something and they don't know any details.
Okay, so he's talking about the RCMP guy, right? And you know what? I hate to say this, but I agree with Daniel there. I agree. I think they had some real clowns doing the initial interviews. And what they tried to do is get a confession and be a hero. And they probably didn't know enough details. Oh, the dog handler, got it. Thank you, Sun Cycle. Yeah. Well, if it's true that the dog handler said that, but again, I mean, it's possible. It's possible, guys. It's possible. Not supposed to be like that, but it's possible. I don't think they have the best of the best working on this case at all. You know, I know they don't have the best document writer. I think they take it lightly. So absolutely, I think it's possible that maybe, I mean, there are legal issues. You can't just make accusations. Well, I don't know.
So therefore, my Thursday didn't have any details. Your knowledge of the case didn't have any details.
My Thursday didn't have any details. My Thursday, like my truth. Not Thursday, but my Thursday. My version of what I want you to know about Thursday has no details. My truth is not the truth, and my Thursday is not Thursday. Your knowledge of the case didn't have any details. Okay, well, give us the details, dude, because if you know the details, then share them. After neighbor reported seeing headlights and hearing a loud vehicle coming and going from around Mattel's residence Thursday night after midnight into the early morning hours. Okay, let's. Brad Wong said he did not wish to provide a statement, but was willing to have a conversation. We have seen this before. But he's doing a good job compiling it all for those who may not be familiar with the case yet.
After it was dark, I came back inside.
Okay, now he's talking about Thursday. After it was dark, I forgot, one moment. Time of sunset, May 2nd, 2025, Nova Scotia, Canada.
Here is information from time and date.
8:19 or 8:20. 8:20 was sunset.
What do I remember? The kids were sleeping.
What I remember, qualifier.
I remember the kids were sleeping, but
From what I remember, okay. That's a qualifier right there, from what I remember. So he doesn't want to be definitive about it and say the kids were sleeping when I came in. He said, from what I remember. You see, that's always something to say where you have a lot of deniability there. You know, in court, your lawyer will tell you oftentimes, you know, if you just say you don't remember, so you're not lying. Yeah, it's a lie that you do, because you do remember, but they cannot prove that, you know, they cannot hold you accountable. From what I remember, yeah, that's what I remember, exactly. Who are you to say what I remember and what I don't remember? You can later say, I was lying, especially if Malaya says they went to bed at 10. But you want people to think that they were sleeping without actually committing to it.
When you're looking back,
When you're looking back, not when I'm looking back. You see, he wants to keep it very general right now, almost like philosophizing. You know what it's like when you're looking back. So he looks for acceptance of his statements. And he's trying to tell you that what he is saying makes sense. He's talking about you in general when you look back at some things.
back in time,
You see, he doesn't even want to commit to what he remembers. He could say, when I look back in time, okay,
Daniel, it's hard to, you know, kind of remember everything and
kind of remember, yeah.
get a feeling for how the night.
Commit to your statement and say, I don't remember exactly. I was very tired. My mom has been on me. I had to fix the fence and she is no picnic. And, you know, tell us about you and your situation. Don't keep it general. And don't try to get us to understand you. Hey, Krista.
It really was, because it just seemed like a normal night, right?
It's hard to remember how the night really was. Yep. What really happened, because that's what we want to know. We want you to get to the truth. We want you to get to the essence, what has been left out. We want the avoidances to guide us towards the important events, because it just seemed like a normal night. He doesn't even say it was a normal night. He cannot even say this right now. He can only say it just seemed like a normal night. Right? He needs approval. Right? You believe me? You believe me, right? Right? I need you to believe me right now. I'm not giving you reasons to believe. That's what this is telling us, that he knows that this statement cannot stand on its own. He doesn't even admit to seeing them. Makes a point they were under the covers. Absolutely, Charles, that's exactly it. Because they were not in their beds. So he doesn't even want to commit to seeing them in their beds. That's exactly it, people. My memory is just...
When I came inside, I thought the kids were sleeping.
When I came inside he corrects himself. I thought the kids were sleeping. You see? Now he's backtracking, guys. Hardcore backtracking. Because by now he realizes that the conflict of statements is something that can backfire on him even more. Even though people miss things in the beginning, little by little, the important parts are going to stand out further and further. Wait a minute. Didn't you say all of a sudden, especially now, the drama is gone, Durwood says less, all of that. All of a sudden people realize, wait a minute, let's go back to the basics after 6 months. And all of a sudden, even people who get sidetracked quite a bit start to think, wait, he didn't answer the satisfactory. I can't speak anymore at this time of night. Satisfactor. How you say? You cannot satisfactorily. I don't know. You see how careful he is now with his wording. You see that? It was different in the beginning, but then he realized, okay, we don't have our script down perfectly. We have a script about Friday morning, but not Thursday night. That's where me and Malaya have not matched. They didn't anticipate for that to be questioned. They thought, as long as we keep Friday morning straight between us, nobody's going to ask questions about Thursday. They were not prepared, and he's very careful and very worried that he may say something that Malaya may say something completely different about. Not necessarily on purpose, but because they haven't agreed on a script. I thought the kids were sleeping. Didn't you tell us before they were sleeping? Yeah, absolutely.
And
look at the pauses here. And this is something that you may not get if you only have a written statement. But the pauses, when the flow is interrupted, that's the sensitivity right there, the pattern. He has now said he was awake and asleep. Yes, sun cycle. Very selective. I don't believe the kids were sleeping. I don't think they made it to sleep that night, personally. And you see, you're doing well giving us your spiel, Daniel. But then, when the real questions come, all of a sudden, you reveal to me the avoidances and how significant they are. And that's easy to overlook if you don't analyze and simply listen to what they say and then sort of finish their thoughts for them. Never do that. Let it stand on its own. Yeah, Andrea, they had no chance. They didn't get to bed tonight. I don't believe that at all.
I could have swore they were asleep.
That's why they cannot agree on the time. Was it 8 or was it 10? It's a big difference. Because he said when he gotten in after dark, the kids were already asleep. Not they were in bed, but they had already been sleeping. For how long? I could have swore they were.
But it says in the documents that she had them up to.
Oh my God. Look at I could have swore they were sleeping, but it says in the documents. Dude, you were there. The documents were not there. You were there, Daniel. He wants to refer to the documents as the word of God. Because what they first published with all the redactions was very beneficial for him. That's why he always says, look at the documents. So maybe somebody pointed out, well, according to the documents, the kids didn't go to bed until 10. And you said 8. Uh-oh. I can't discredit the documents now. Because if I do that, then, no. The documents are the word of God, remember? Okay. Shit. What am I going to do? Okay, according to the the documents are right. Dude, you were there, brother. Robin Edwards, hi. Welcome. Thank you all for showing up at this time of night. He said the documents are only 1% of the case. Yeah, no shit. No kidding. Thank you, Robin. Yep, the documents were not there, dude. What the hell? Who cares? The documents are based on what you and Malaya are saying. Give us your version. Oops, I messed up. I'm not going to fight for it. I'm going to go with what the documents say because people are pointing things out to me and I have to step back now. I give up, I give in. Wrong script. Let me try to fix it. Let me backtrack. I could have sworn they were sleeping, but it says in the doc, no, you were there. Why did you say they were sleeping? That's the question.
9 or 10 at night.
And she had them up until 9 or 10 at night. Well, she corrected herself, right? From 9 to 10. So he doesn't want to be direct about that either. He wants to be vague. Well, maybe it's 9, maybe it's 10. If it's 9, it would be closer to 8, what I said originally, you know. So is it 8 or 9? Somewhere around there. You see, he wants to make it plausible. He wants to normalize the 2-hour discrepancy.
I don't remember them being up that late.
Okay, I don't remember. Yeah. But what did you tell us in the beginning? You said they were asleep. But now you don't remember them being up that late. Now you tell us what you don't remember. Yeah, that's deniability. I mean, he's not a lawyer, but people learn. People learn. He's learning. He's catching on. It took a while, but he is. Because you know what? A lot of similar things are being pointed out to him. And even Charmaine in her chat or on her live corrected him a couple of times and said, Daniel, this is why people suspect you because of your passive language. And he changed it. He's learning. That's kind of funny, actually, man. But you know what? If you hear the same things again and again, now he feels actually more confident because he learned a few things here and there. And it's the lights going on in the setting. Oh, okay, that's why. Got it. Because you and Logan were so busy blaming people for, you were putting everybody in the same box, right? The speculating people and the crazy accusations and this and but you're not talking about me, right? Sure, you focus on the craziest ones that are easy to discredit, but eventually the light is coming on. You say, oops, maybe it was me. Let me see if I can fix it.
So I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you that. Okay. You see, I don't remember them being up that late, so I'll tell you that. I agree with you. You thought about it, said, this is what I'm going to tell you, and that's it. Not that's what happened, but so I'll tell you. Yes, we know. It's not the same as saying, this is what happened. That's what I tell you. Got it. What exactly happened Friday morning? Although she claims she was asleep, Malaya messaged the school at 6:17. Well, he's wrong here because she said she was in and out of sleep. And we knew she messaged him at 6:17. And of course, according to her, she went right back to sleep, right? She was only up for those 2 minutes. Everything else she cannot be asked questions about. Complete avoidance. And made an unanswered call to her mom at 8:28. Yep. That's what we figured out recently. Little by, I wonder what's next about the relationship between Daniel and Malaya, because there was a huge area that has been blacked out that I showed you guys earlier. It's interesting for me to see what parts are blacked out and then ask myself why. And if you've seen my short, I'm wondering how right Paul Pelango may have been when he said they just want the cases to go away. I mean, according to him, when the RCMP gets a difficult case, they just look at it and think, oh my God, just go away. Oh geez, I don't want to deal with this. Oh my God, looks like work. Let me call in sick again. There was a missed call from Malaya 2:52 p.m. and a video call at 3:37. That was May 1st. Thursday, Cindy said she called on video chat to see the kids, but nothing about the call stood out in her mind. 3:37. Were they home already or on their way home? Look, Cindy and Malaya, I don't know what I haven't really paid attention to it, but the fact that Logan tried to tell us how horrible Cindy is and how horrible the relationship between Malaya and Cindy is, they try to make it sound like Cindy is the only problem. Cindy hates Daniel and everybody else loves him. And she's the evil one. On May 2nd, 2025, there was a missed call from Malaya 8:28. Yep. There was also a missed call at 10:40. And a message from Malaya saying the kids, well, I believe that's what she wanted to talk about at 8:28. But she didn't want to do it in the middle of the night. She had to wait. But she felt the need to call her mom before she called police, guys. Because I believe no matter what the relationship may have been like between Cindy and Malaya, when it came down to it, Cindy was the one that she came to when she really had problems. I do believe that, I don't know enough about the relationship. That would be a good question to ask Wade, right? But it doesn't really matter. I think that right now I look at their relationship within the realm of normal, or what can be described as normal, or halfway, whatever. It was only Logan in the beginning who tried to let us know, tried to tell us. What did he let us know, Chelsea, before the docs came out? What did Daniel let us know? I fixed my other laptop, but don't see the chat is going pretty fast. No, it's not, but your mom is always, oh yeah, absolutely. That's me, Chelsea, that's what avoidance is about. Priorities, leakage, avoidance, intentions, deception, and sensitivities. Avoidance. Encouraging us to avoid the neighbor, trying to discredit somebody. That's major avoidance. If I bring up something that's not important, and you say, why is he talking about that person? Well, there's always a reason. Is the person trying to get you to avoid? Is he avoiding? A mix of both? Trying to preemptively discredit the neighbor was a huge red flag, guys. What do you mean, what, chat? So he wanted us to avoid paying attention to the neighbor before we even knew much about anything except a rumor that there was a drug party according to a neighbor. And you can say, I didn't have a drug party. I don't know what the person is talking about. But then when both Daniel and Janie get so much into the neighbor, all of a sudden I realized there's more. There's a lot more. There's a lot more they don't want us to pay attention to. And that gives credibility to this statement from Juan. Smith, I'm not sure yet. Yes, not that night. That's exactly what he said. There were no people there. Not that night. Okay. So, drug party, not a reliable denial, except about that night there was no drug party. What do you mean, Charles? I don't understand what your comment is. So, this avoidance you cannot avoid. You need to realize that there is something that is harmful to these people. Otherwise, they wouldn't have paid that much attention. What did he say, Chasa? What did Daniel Martel say? Anything important? Can you remember? Can you give me a screenshot or anything specific? I know Daniel cannot sit. I know he's restless. Daniel, if anybody got something important, you don't need, if it's not important, you need to send me. You guys are now aware enough of what to look for. But if it's important, please send it to me. Everybody has to be discredited. But whom he discredits specifically, that is important, guys. Very, very important. Otherwise, he wouldn't spend time on it. You think he's enjoying his fame? Maybe a little bit, but he's also worried.
What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room.
This is a different image from Malaya, right? This is probably from the reporter. She has the same Hello Kitty shirt. Is it the same one? You know what? I have such an eye for detail that I need to... Give me a second. I don't care how insignificant it may seem to some people. It's not to me. Yeah, I think it's the same shirt, right? That she wore. Got it. Hello Kitty. I'm watching it now. Okay.
Room beside us.
This is going to be my... This is going to be my cover picture.
And I was drifting in and out of sleep.
And then about 20 minutes passed, and then when I woke up, Malaya was right beside me.
When I woke up, Malaya was right beside me. What about before you woke up? At 1? Oh, Charmaine was live earlier. I missed that too. I thought so too. I thought it was a sweatshirt. Give me a second, guys. Good catch. You see, I have this eye for detail. I can't help it. I you know, it's not overthinking. Some people may say that's overthinking. I don't believe in overthinking. I'm thinking. I show you right now. And I don't like AI images, by the way. I rather use the real ones. I don't like AI in general, man. I mean, the word is misleading enough, you know what I mean? I get much more out of seeing them the way they are. Okay, now.
And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time.
It's not a sweatshirt. It's also a t-shirt, you see? I thought it was a sweatshirt also. I don't know why I assumed it was a sweatshirt, but it was a t-shirt.
time, and the next
T-shirt, guys. You see? Amy? Hi.
thing we knew, like it was quiet.
Can you see this right here? Am I showing you something? Yeah. You can see the sleeve, the end. It's a T-shirt. That's the one. Yep. Look.
And we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call.
Everywhere.
They're both really go lucky.
Everywhere except where they were. Very red flag everywhere. Yes, we had faulty collective recall. That's the Mandela effect, Amy. When we conclude something in our mind and then accept it as reality and the conclusion is incorrect. Yeah, she had a short sleeve on there. You see, when Mandela was in prison at 70 and they had a big concert, people concluded in their minds, he's going to die in prison. And so later, after his presidency, people remembered him as dying in prison because they drew the conclusion already of what was going to happen. That's why they call it the Mandela effect. It's a real thing. It can happen easily. I had this thing about this movie Clueless, where I thought the one guy was the gay friend. What's his name? Ant-Man actor. And he was going to play that role initially, which is really strange, I found out about. But I remembered him in the wrong role. Really weird. Anyway, it's not important, but it's a very real thing. And it's a very simple phenomenon, actually. But either way, now we know. I like it, the false collective memory. So true. I love learning new things. I love it when okay. Wow. Paul Rudd, that's him, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd was gonna play the gay friend in the movie Clueless. I don't know if you guys watched it with Alicia Silverstone 30 years ago, man. Yeah, he was actually going to play that role. And strangely, I thought he was the one who played that role. Maybe because I felt like he would have been good at it. I don't know. Really weird how we remember things. Some of you are leaving. Well, I can go on a little bit more. You know what? This will take me a while. And always tell me this takes me a while because nobody does what I'm doing here. Going into these details that have been overlooked and are being overlooked. So I don't even know where to start sometimes, but I know if I don't do it, it may get lost. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to. Oh yeah, you're in West Aussie. Cool, thank you. Clueless was a good, yeah. Yeah, especially since some of you are just now coming. I swear they are changing our reality. Who is changing our reality? Wanderlust? Okay, is it on Netflix? I have Netflix, so I think I'm going to check it out. Wanderlust. I will check it out. You know, and I like it when we talk about other things too, man, but just let it flow. The flow is good. I felt about a good flow. I felt that the flow was right today to do this, and I haven't prepared for anything, but I talked to a couple of people earlier and I realized, I just noticed some things. Let me just go live and see where it goes. You know what I mean? That's normally what happens when I talk to some of you in private. I immediately realize, wow, I haven't covered this. No, Grendel, this time I'm not pre-recorded. I don't think I do any more premieres with the pre-recorded ones. I think I just upload them as video, and I will only do them if there's a specific topic I want to get into that I want separate from everything else, which I may do later on about, now maybe not. Now I don't remember. If I don't remember, it can't be that important, right? Something about Justin Smith. But you know, I don't want to do that. I prefer doing this. Just we conclude things wrongly all the time. And sometimes we conclude what would have made more sense, or the most sense. Whether a certain role would have made the most sense for an actor, or dying and being 70 years old in prison, doing a life sentence. Yeah, you're going to die in prison. That would make sense too. Let me get you started, Charles, on rabbit holes. Which one would you like to discuss? There are many things I'm looking into that I don't really discuss on YouTube too much. Many things. Everything's interesting to me, especially the things that we don't hear about. Yeah, Netflix. I keep when I'm in the gym, I watch Netflix. That's the only reason. Yeah, I'm happy it's my channel. I'm happy to be able to, talk about things that I'm interested in, and then see who else is. Because most channels I'm not interested in, you know what I mean? So I figured I'd do what I would like to watch, or try to do what I would like to watch. After Peter Hyatt, there was a void. And I watched all these channels saying nothing, teaching me nothing. I realized that, no, let's focus on the things that people miss. Because the truth is in there, not out there. That's why I got this update. The truth is in there. Shit, I'm pointing at it here. The truth is in there. It's in the language. You can search forever. You can run around the forest. You can look, but the truth is not out there. It's in there. In the language. In the leakage. In the ocean references. That's where the truth is. So most things I tune out. When people look for mine shafts and so on, I say, no, I'm already there. I already have enough references that lead me in a certain direction. You know what I mean? Wendy Adelson. Oh, I heard about, let me see. Yeah, the thing is that this case is so interesting to me and so current. And Wendy Adelson, let me see. Wow. If you have a statement, you know how to reach me, Sun Cycle. Good night, Kathy. I'll keep going. So, yeah, and Karen Reed's friend, I was also, well, you know what, man, once I'm getting into something, I'm getting so into it. But I definitely look at Wendy Adelson. And the less I know about the case, the better. Only the important parts surrounding it, and then straight up statements. The best thing actually is sometimes it's best to know nothing. Absolutely nothing. The same way I approached the case of, what's her name? Amy Bradley. Oh my God! I saw the father statements. I did not know about the musician. I knew a little bit. I read a little. Oh my God! Because a lot of people who messaged me, I was really shocked because they gotten it really, really wrong, and they focused so much on the Fall Guy because they watched the Netflix special. And, you know, that's a bad Mandela effect where people conclude things or try to make a narrative sort of fit. And, you know, for them, it's interesting. The Netflix, they need the viewers. Sometimes the reality is too short to make money off of it. And sometimes there are legal issues. And so the finger pointing is often the most interesting thing, right? Hey, Cassie, other Cassie. One Cassie leaves, the other Cassie comes. No, she was not trafficked, Layla. She never made it into the room after she went outside and wanted to sleep on the balcony. She never made it back in. And the father knows about it. And the fact that he says her cigarettes and lighter were gone, I believe she went overboard. And the cigarettes and lighter, the father realized were still there. So he got rid of those too. I don't believe a damn thing about the musician. There is so much finger pointing, and there are several statements that I don't consider reliable. And I don't care if his own daughter thinks he did it. I don't believe he had anything to do with what caused her to disappear. I believe the father had guilty knowledge, to say the very least. The very least. So I don't like to watch these documentaries anymore on Netflix. When I'm in the gym, maybe I watch whatever, Naked Gun or something like that. Some stupid just to keep me running and lifting, you know what I mean? So I figure, you know, I don't want to waste time on watching movies, but, you know, I save it for the gym. So that's like I kind of tricked myself into staying there longer, even when I'm tired of it. It seems to work. Anyway, anyhow. Layla, that's a possibility, but I think that the father is hiding something very, very important. I will go a step further. And Pat Brown is not analyzing statements. So I'm not sure if I agree with her there. But that she went overboard, I believe that for sure. But I think there was a major argument involved. So I disagree very strongly there, very strongly. And that's all in the language. And I made 2 videos about it already. 2 videos I made on Amy Bradley that you guys can look up. And even though the first time I had people, well, I think you listen to fast music at the gym. Yeah, I lost my earphones, man. So I'm watching the movies right there quietly, somewhat quiet. No, the language of the father reveals a lot. Oh, Daniel said something about the pink blanket, that it was on the railing. Yeah. But he thinks he's saying that this was the blanket that wound up on a tree. No, that's a piece that wound up in the garbage. He's mixing the two up. And I don't think it was planted, guys. I don't think the blanket in the tree, I don't think it was planted. Sorry to say, unless I see a reason to believe that. He admits that there was a piece of blanket on a railing. But I think that is the piece that later on the cops were called about when it magically appeared inside of the garbage can. But I'm going now too much into different topics. What channel see legal? Well, here's the thing. I don't watch those channels. It's very simple. I don't need to go by other people's guesses. It's very simple. I wouldn't watch it. I always wonder why people watch and then complain. Because if I don't get anything out of it, then I'm not going to waste my time on it. The truth is in there, not out there. So that's a mistake a lot of people make. They look everywhere for answers, but they don't realize the answers are right in front of us in the statements, right in front of us. They're in there. Yeah, you can watch the videos of mine on Amy Bradley. I stand by what I said 2-3 months ago. I stand by it. I had very little knowledge, and that's a good thing. I looked at the father's statements, and I know she never made it inside of the room after she went to the balcony. She never made it back into the room. And there was an argument. And sure, she was drunk. She was highly intoxicated, but she avoided her parents. She didn't want to be in the room. That's why she preferred to sleep outside. She didn't even want to go out there on the ship with them, because of the conflict and the tension. And I believe that she was drunk or intoxicated, and she stood up for herself and told her father, leave me the hell alone, stay out of my business. And I believe a major argument took place. And what is the father doing with the adult children that he goes back to the ballroom to look for them and this and that? They're grown-ups, man. He was a control freak, in my opinion. And he wanted to control her life. And he didn't like the life that she was living. Because once she went in college, she experienced a certain freedom. You're never too old to relearn. She experienced the freedom where she lived the life that she wanted to live. A life that she previously probably was hiding from her parents because she knew where her father stood. But I think once she experienced the freedom, she was not going to go back. She was about to start a job, live her own life, and do what she wants. And her father didn't like the lifestyle she was living. Yeah. So all the smoke screening makes for a good or a successful Netflix documentary, but the reality is it's not the truth. It doesn't lead us down the right roads. So I have no more interest in watching actually Netflix documentaries. Doesn't matter what it's about. There is too much in there or too much focus on certain areas that sell well, but only lead away from the important part. The truth is in there, guys. I need the statements, and the less I know, the better it is. And it's so surprising to me that so many people allow a narrative to control their thoughts and cloud their thoughts. Even some people here who were very surprised by my video and didn't like it, but now are coming around and realize, oh my God, you're right. Yeah, I know I was right about it. I don't know what the Netflix special said. I probably listened for like 1 or 2 minutes to it. And I said, man, there's nothing here for me. Nothing. You see, analyzing what they say, analyzing their language, keeps us from looking in the wrong direction. Then the real investigation begins, of course. But sometimes police, they just want the case to go away because it's too complicated. Plus, it wasn't within the United States. Or what jurisdiction would be there to take care of the case? You know, it's easier to say, oh, she's probably out there on some island nation where, you know, who knows, they're infamous already for everything. No. Don't point the finger at that. You may be right about certain nations, but that has nothing to do with the case. Nothing else but the dad. The dad is the only one with guilty knowledge. The only one. And I don't care what Pat Brown says either. If she thinks she was drunk, fell over, was an accident, no, there was an argument involved. Yes, she was drunk. So again, even though this person may be better than the Netflix special, still, listen to an extent. But when you realize something is not going in the right direction, or it doesn't match up with the actual statements they're giving us, make up your own mind. Look into your own mind. The truth is always right there. Paramount, Beavis and Butthead, Do the Universe. Paramount has some good movies that are nowhere else available. I think Paramount is probably the best, in my opinion. But Netflix, oh my God. It's crazy. I have thousands of movies available, but there are so few that I'm actually interested in. There are so few that I just don't like movies that much anymore. I think reality is much more interesting than fiction once you get to know the real reality. Thank you, Denise. Very nice comments right now. You know what's crazy? What's crazy is that this is an 18-minute video, 18 minutes, and I only done less than 4. But you know what? The crazy thing is that we realize how much we have been missing. And sometimes I realize how much stuff I went over too quickly. I don't know Landman. I don't know Schitt's Creek either. I mean, I heard about them. And I know a lot of good actors that I haven't seen in years are on Schitt's Creek, including, what's his name? The guy who was on Letterman in the 80s. Chris, a lot of Canadians too. Chris Elliott. Yeah, and reality shows, this is a reality show right here. No, reality show is nothing with, shows normally have nothing to do with reality. Staged reality. I like real reality, man. I love it. Because throughout my life, I've gotten so much so wrong. And it is freeing me. It's liberating to find out the truth. It's very liberating to me to realize, oh my God, so many things that I always suspected. I saw it right the first time as a child. I let people talk me out of it. And now I realize, oh my gosh, there's a reason why certain things didn't sit well with me. Let me see. I'm kind of done with this for now. I'd rather just talk to you guys. Oh my gosh. But you know what? That makes me realize that I have more material to talk about the next time. You know? We don't have to go through everything quickly. We just have to be able to figure out the important parts. But you know what, guys? I think I'm going to stop this now and continue next time. Because I like the way it went. I don't want to, yeah. I'm going to call it a night, my friends. And for sure tomorrow, yeah, I have enough to go on. I don't have to think about it too much. Sometimes I feel like I'm not ready, but I realize, okay, I got a long video to get through. And normally I don't talk about what I plan anyways. Thank you so much, Jonah. Thank you, Grandel. Everything good? Anything else? Any last wishes? Otherwise, I'm out of here. And I'm out of here very quickly. Okay. Thank you, people. Send me your requests and send me information if you get it. God bless. I see you next time.